last of the 20. Book 2, The Quest, by J.N. Wdowski. Chapter 11, Overlord. They took the large service elevator down into the shelter. As large as it was, they had to leave the mule on the main floor of the building. The reclaimsmen wanted 124 to remain on the surface also, but Miller insisted that the machine accompany them. The elevator descended for half a minute until it reached the first level of the shelter. Miller felt the ride down took a bit longer than the elevators for Shelter 1 or Shelter 3. How deep is your shelter? The creators taught us that we are half the height of the Empire State Building underground. One of the reclaimsmen answered. Have you ever seen the Empire State Building? Nathan asked. No, we have never ventured beyond Princeton. One of the other reclaimsmen replied. The hordes are too numerous outside our area. We've seen the Empire State Building, Nathan proudly stated. Stepping off the elevator, Miller was surprised by how unpopulated the shelter seemed. He expected that a shelter that had not been overrun by the infected or mole men would have a large population. Yet Shelter 5 seemed almost empty. As they were led down the corridor of Level 1, he noticed aged Peppa blast marks on the walls. Did you have the infected break in at some time? No. Why? The first reclaimsman asked. The scorched Peppa blast marks on your walls. 124 had also noticed. It seems you fought off an infestation at one point? Oh, those. The reclaimsman responded, as if he had gotten used to the scars of weapons fire. That was a few years ago. That wasn't an infestation. The infected have never gotten into the building. We have cleaned out the city above a long time ago. It was at that moment that the three reclaimsmen led them into the large underground conference room. The room had been emptied of the large conference table Miller remembered was in Shelter 1. At the far end of the room was still the presentation platform that was 3 steps higher than the rest of the massive underground chamber. Upon the platform was a single armchair with a high back. Within the chair sat a handsome reclaimsman in a commander's uniform. He had long blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and a strong jawline under a 3 o'clock shadow. Standing next to him was a very attractive, fit young woman in a cut-off top and miniskirt. Her flat midsection was bare. She had a red ruby navel piercing. Her long, charcoal black wavy hair framed her youthful caramel complexion. Her large, deep brown eyes were enhanced by long, black natural lashes. She rested one of her maroon-painted, manicured hands on his shoulder. The 3 reclaimsmen approached them, stood at attention, and saluted. The man on the makeshift throne returned their salute. So, who are our guests? He looked at Miller, Nathan, and 124. Miller stepped forward. I am Commander Miller of Reclaims Group 1. This is my son Nathan, an MCS 124. You're from Shelter 1? The blond man responded. I am. My son and 124 are not. We lost contact with Shelter 1 nearly 20 years ago. The man responded. Oh, my manners. I am Overlord Wheatman. Overlord? Your rank is Commander, the same as mine. Miller was confused. Wheatman smiled. I have been promoted. So tell me, Commander Miller, where are the rest of your men, and what happened to Shelter 1? Most are dead. Some transformed into prune faces. Due to the shortened lifespan of the infected, they would have died off by this time. Miller answered. As for Shelter 1, it was overrun a few days after my team emerged onto the surface. I think my men, that were infected, helped the mutated hordes infiltrate and destroy Shelter 1. That is a pity. He looked at the attractive woman standing beside him. Isn't it, Olivia? Looking at Miller, she made tisk-tisk sounds with her tongue. Yes, Overlord. Such a pity. Miller ignored what he felt was disingenuous sympathy. What happened here? Here, nothing much. Why? Wheatman acted innocent. The pipa fire marks on your walls. Miller looked around them, at the few people in the room. Your shelter's population. There seems to be hardly anyone here. Where is everyone? Oh, that. Wheatman sat back as he took Olivia's hand into his. We had a disagreement. A difference of opinion, one could say. A disagreement? Miller wanted clarification. Most of the scientists, engineers, and military personnel in the shelter disagreed that it was best that I and my men take charge of the shelter. They stubbornly would not accept the fact of our being superior, not just physically, but also intellectually. They created us to be superior, yet could not come to terms that we were. One of the 3 reclaimsmen that had escorted them down confirmed. Yes, indeed, Lepore. He turned his attention back to Miller. For such intelligent and learned men and women, they were incredibly foolish. You killed them? Nathan asked. Well, not all of them. But some, yes. Some saw the wisdom of being under our protection and submitting to my command of the shelter. A couple of my men unfortunately joined the Reals, saying that their mission was to fight the infected and reclaim the surface, not fight our creators. How many did you kill? Nathan asked. Not too many, perhaps a third. When they did finally surrender, we let the survivors choose to accept, unconditionally, my complete authority, or they could leave in peace. Very democratic, if I say so. Wheatman seemed pleased with himself. Leave in peace? Miller asked. You exiled them onto the surface, women and children too, to face mutant hordes alone? It was their choice, Olivia stated. Overlord Wheatman is a benevolent leader. Wheatman grinned as he looked up at her. Yes, I am. I am a benevolent leader, aren't I? Clearly, 124 sarcastically stated. Oh, again, my manners. Have you eaten? Before Miller could respond, Wheatman clapped his hands loudly. A balding man with gray hair entered the chamber from a side door. He did not salute, but bowed. Yes, Overlord. Wheatman looked at the man, who kept his eyes lowered. We have guests. Bring in the banquet table. Serve dinner. Yes, Overlord. The man walked back into the side door. Soon, 2 other older men entered the room carrying a long table between them. They struggled with the weight of the table. Both Nathan and Miller instinctively stepped forward, wanting to help them. Immediately, Wheatman waved them off. You don't want to spoil them. It is good for them to do a little physical labor. He turned to the elderly men. Isn't it? Yes, Overlord. Both tried to catch their breaths as they answered. 3 more elderly men entered, carrying 4 chairs that they placed around the table. A couple of older women followed and laid out a clean white tablecloth upon the table. 2 additional gray-haired women entered with china sets and silverware and set the table for 4. Wheatman stood. 2 of the older men lifted his chair and carried it to one end of the table. Olivia sat to his right. The 3 reclaimsmen stood at ease at the side. Please sit. Wheatman gestured to Miller and Nathan for them to take seats at the table. I assume your robot doesn't eat. He laughed. I do not. 124 positioned himself behind Miller at the other end of the table. How many are left in the shelter? Miller asked. Wheatman looked to Lepore to answer. Of our reclaims group, 10 of us are left. Of the Reals, 50 decided to remain to serve us in exchange for our protection. What happened to the other 10 reclaimsmen? Miller handed his Peppa rifle to 124 to shoulder for him. 2 joined the Reals to fight against us. They survived the conflict but chose exile with their creators. 8 of our number were lost in the fighting. 8? Nathan asked. We were outnumbered 100 to 1, and they had Richardson and Thomas. Lepore explained. Numbers. Wheatman ended the conversation. Tell us about you, Miller. How have you survived alone for so many years? I lost my team within the first few nights after we ventured out from Shelter 1. We had no idea how many of the infected inhabited Manhattan. Our scientists knew the lifespan of the prune faces were extremely short. What they did not expect was that at very young ages, they would breed like rabbits. Having lost contact with Shelter 1, I decided to try to reach Shelter 3 under Yale University. I had hoped to hook up with them. Did you reach Shelter 3? Lepore, still standing, asked. Miller looked up at Lepore. I did. That is 124, and I did. The shelter was wiped out. The infected? Olivia asked. No, not the prune faces. Miller was distracted as the side door opened and the older Reals entered. He could smell the meal before even seeing what they were serving. The men carried full serving dishes of mashed potatoes, steamed vegetables, roasted chicken, deep-fried catfish, and a quarter of a roasted pig. As they placed the food in the center of the table, Nathan's eyes widened after having eaten for over a week only dry jerky and nature bars. Please continue, Wheatman requested. What doomed them? Mole men, Miller responded. Molemen. Wheatman was confused. What are molemen? Shelter 3 had experimented on volunteers, convicts to be exact, to develop a cure for the virus. It worked, but with a major side effect, Miller explained. Which was? Olivia took a spoonful of mashed potatoes and placed it on Wheatman's plate before serving herself. They used viral therapy to reprogram the damaged human genetic code caused by the Chinese virus. As I said, it worked, but when the therapy attached itself to the Y chromosomes of the males, it caused increased testosterone levels, massive full-body hair growth, and aggression. 124 explained. Their being criminals did not help the situation. What of the women? Olivia asked 124. They have no Y chromosomes, so the therapy worked in reversing the virus without the negative side effects. However, they're also being convicted convicts. Did not help them in their lack of morals and short-sighted decision-making. 124 reported. Most interesting. Olivia smiled. If you do not mind me asking, you're a real, aren't you? Nathan looked at Olivia as he took a chicken thigh and a drumstick and placed them on his plate. I am the daughter of Dr. Martinez and Dr. Jefferson. They foolishly chose to join the exiled. She served Wheatman a slice of the roasted pig and then herself. You didn't follow your parents? Nathan could not understand. Most likely daddy issues, 124 whispered to Nathan from behind him. Be sure to continue to Chapter 12, Decisions.
To support the author, please like, share, comment, and subscribe.